I'm Lucy Black, and I'm just going to read you a little bit from A Quilting of Scars. Harvest meals were always hearty, with liberal portions. His ma said is how they needed to keep their strength up to work hard. Bowls of hot potatoes and a cooked ham or roast would be waiting for them at the table. And there were always pies, apple mostly, but sometimes rhubarb or berry. Larkin's pa was proud of the spread she put on and would encourage the men to have another plate. Larkin liked that his folks were generous. He'd relax into the familiar banter and goodwill, pushing aside his flushes of anxiety. And then, when the men had had their fill, they'd tuck in their chairs, thank his ma politely, before returning to the fields. After the harvest was in, their church would organize a beef supper, attended by the whole community. Even the Roman Catholic Quins would come. There were thick slabs of beef, scalloped and mashed potatoes, peppery brown gravy, and all manner of preserves and pickles. Mrs. McCormick was famous for her horseradish. Large bowls of it were set out on the tables. Once, when Larkin was very young, he mistook it for mashed potatoes and helped himself to a big spoonful. He nearly coughed out a lung, the heat of it taking him by surprise. For years afterwards, he'd be teasingly offered horseradish at the suppers. "Have yourself a helping of this, son. We know it's your favorite," they'd say. Or, "Larkin, have you tried the horseradish? It'll blow out whatever ails you." And for dessert, there was pie and cake table. You could take your pick from a wide array. The women would watch over their offerings carefully, discreetly competing to see whose pies went first and whose cakes. That first harvest after the fire had been no different. On a Saturday night, he and his folks climbed into the wagon with his ma's pies, a pot filled with mashed potatoes wrapped in a quilt to keep in the heat, and a heaping platter of sliced roast beef. They drove to the supper, held that year in the upstairs level of the Dempsey's new barn. The location changed every time, each family taking their turn. Rough plank tables had been set up inside, where the women buzzed about setting out the food and organizing the buffet. Each family brought their own plates and cutlery and drinks. Most also brought blankets or chairs so they could find a place to sit down and eat. The men would take their plates outside and stand around together in a large group while they had a good chinwag. This was Larkin's first time at the supper since leaving school. By rights, he should have been with the men, but he felt awkward walking up to them in a silent declaration of his new status, intimidated as he was by the thought of their teasing. But neither was it fitting to stay inside with the women and little ones, so Larkin took his plate off on his own, looking for a place to settle.